inside the Crazy Ant Farm, man. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, dude, we're doing fantastic. We are super pumped to be talking to you. One, you're a young guy. You're getting it done. You're making it happen, living the dream. And two, this guy's Grey's Anatomy, I'm Law and Order, and you've done both. So we're both pretty excited to talk to you about being in those worlds. And so we're definitely going to jump all into that. I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. But what we like to do at first is just kind of do an introduction for all of our listeners out there who might not be familiar with you and talk about how you kind of got started and everything. Acting, dude, was it something you kind of knew you always wanted to do from an early age, or did you kind of fall into it? What was the path of getting into it?
Yeah, no, it's something I always knew I wanted to do. Ever since I was younger, well, ever since I was a little kid, I loved movies. I used to watch Lion King on VHS and then rewind it and stand there and rewatch the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I knew like every word from it. And then my cousins were big Jim Carrey fans, so we would always watch The Mask. And I used to just try to imitate everything he said.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, watching him play different characters and all that, I found it interesting. And then I started kind of asking, what is that? What is he doing? And then I started learning more. And then I started looking into like the old school OGs like De Niro, Pacino, and I really started falling in love with it. And then eventually I lived in New York, took some classes here, but we moved to Pennsylvania when I was around 10 or 11. And my mother, she put me into the local theater, and then I did all the theater in my middle school. And that's really where it kind of solidified everything for me.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean, they really say like theater is where you grow your chops. That's where you start to like experiment with different things, figure out what you're comfortable with, what you can step outside the box with. And that's very interesting too, because we talk to a lot of guests who get their start in theater, and they talk about that transition between theater and film and television, how it sometimes can be a little difficult because, you know, you're trying to overperform because you're trying to reach that person in the very back row. So was it kind of interesting for you as well, or did you get the hang of it?
Yeah, no, it definitely was interesting. I had a little bit of film experience because on the side I would do like commercials here and there. But my freshman year of high school, I was cast in a film and I had a lead role in the first movie in that area that was shot. So I was super excited by that, but I had just primarily done theater. So it was a little bit of an adjustment. You know, everything's a lot smaller. The camera catches
That's
a
right.
lot more than the audience can that's sitting 10, 20 feet back. So yeah, there's definitely an adjustment where you have to kind of ground it a little bit more. But there's something about it, film TV, that I love the kind of authentic rawness of it. And the camera can kind of catch everything. And sometimes it's up to the audience to decide what that means. But, you know, you can be thinking like they're going to think that my character is thinking this and all that, but they might think of something completely different, and I think that's cool.
Oh, that's very cool. And so doing the theater though, but you could just tell. So your eyes light up when you say film and television. So even though you had done some theater and started in theater, the goal was always film and television for you.
Always,
Yeah.
always. Since I was younger, I always knew that that's what I wanted to be in film, TV.
Yeah.
I loved movies growing up. That's always been the dream.
So none of that run into I'm going to go back to New York and be on Broadway. I was like, no, film and television.
Yeah, film and TV was always, that's definitely, I mean, definitely will dabble in theater and stuff, but I haven't in a while. But film and TV is definitely
I love that.
And that's so interesting too, because you said your first role when you were 14. How did that even come about? Because I mean, we are privy to, you know, the whole social media day and age where there's like Facebook groups where there are like indie film sets where you can get on really easy. But what was your experience? Did you like find an agent? Did you come across somebody that was shooting a film and like, hey, you look kind of cool, you could be in this thing? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I had an agent out in Pennsylvania. It was like a local agency.
Okay.
And I had worked with them even when I was doing theater. Like I would sometimes in my middle school leave to go to auditions and things like that. And then my freshman year, the agency, I hadn't heard from them for a while, but they hit me up and said, there's this local film being shot. They're interested in your look. So then I went and auditioned, and I actually auditioned 3 times for the role.
Oh, wow.
They eventually told me that I didn't get it. So they told me I got it first. Then they told me they went in a different direction. And then 2 weeks later, they were like, we want to see you one more time. And I auditioned again and eventually ended up getting it. So that was a whole roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like it, man. It really does. And I mean, being at that stage in your life too, I feel like, you got to have a good support system. So it sounds like your family was like behind you 100%. So, and I feel like in this industry specifically, that's very important because we like to say there's a lot of selection instead of rejection. So to have those people that you can fall back on and to have those conversations with, like, what do you think would be best, or I'm just feeling this way, and listen, and like all these different things. So it sounds like your family was really in tune with what you were doing.
Yeah, they always have been supportive, and when I would have these school plays, all my family from New York as well would come down, and everybody would stay over in my house. So the support has always been there, and when I've been struggling, they've always been there to help. And yeah, it is a difficult industry, so to have a backbone like that to kind of support is huge.
Yeah, well, and just I'm sitting here thinking like 14, and you were immediately thrown into that machine of no, you got it, no, you didn't. We went in,
Yeah.
you got it. Wait a minute. Huh. I mean, at 14, it's hard enough as a grown ass adult to try to deal with the rejection of getting it or not getting it, but then when you have to roll that roller coaster at 14, going, hey, I'm so excited, I got, oh no,
Like,
shit,
well,
I didn't
shit.
get it. Oh, well, yeah, I did get it, and it's like that. The mental aspect of that at 14 is insane. So that's awesome that you, I guess, early on figured out this is the industry. This is what I'm going for. And if you made it through at 14, you're going to be all right. And you kind of do that. That's fantastic. So, all right, I want to talk about, because you are a young guy, but you've already been in the universes of two of the largest franchises in television, right? Dick Wolf with Law and Order, and Shonda with Grey's Anatomy. Somehow you have appeared in both of those already significantly. Talk about that, because when you start off and you're 14 and it's a feature film and it's kind of an indie film, and and then you walk onto the set of these machines, because like at this point they are just machine. They're automatic, right? It's a world that's built. They're 20 years in or 17 years in, etc. Talk about what that was like to be on those sets and the differences that you saw between that and coming from the world of like indie, starting off early kind of stuff. Talk about that.
Yeah, everything runs a lot more smoothly on these sets. You know, you go on set and you know exactly kind of how everything's going to run. Well, not exactly how. You know how your preparation and your day is going to set up, like where you have to go to the trailer, where you can go for, snacks, what time is lunch, and all that. Once you get on set, they want you to just be prepared for your stuff.
Right.
Sure.
And so that was a little, because everybody there is professional. So it's like, all right, we're going to roll. We need you to do this. You got it? All right, cool. Let's go. Run it. And everything moves really fast. So you got to be quick on your feet. With the indie film, like in comparison, yeah, you do have more time, but sometimes you feel like you were wearing a lot of hats as well. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And you didn't always have those answers. It's like, yeah, we might have lunch later. We don't know exactly where we're staying because we're going to shoot at this one place and we really don't have a permit. So let's just
Let's try to get in and out there real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I mean, coming from the Grey's Anatomy side, it's kind of a new era in that whole space because they're trying to not retire the old characters, but kind of have them take a back seat to this younger generation that is coming up, and which, Grey's Anatomy is very soap opera, is very love triangle, and you were caught right in the middle of one of those love triangles. And so that was very interesting because, you started to see these, for the people who've watched it since the beginning, you started to see these resemblances of like Derek and Meredith starting to come together in this younger crop of actors and characters, and now you have this guy who's kind of getting in the middle of that, or was technically there first and then kind of just came back into it. So that was a very interesting thing, and your performance in the show was absolutely amazing. It was one of those roles where you're like, I kind of want to dislike this guy, but at the same time, he's coming off very like Joe Cool type of situation. So, I mean, I just appreciated like the thought and effort, I guess, you brought to your character. And that made it, to where people could open up the door for conversations about what was happening, and it's not like a typical rerun type of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, the opportunity to be on Grey's was amazing. And to jump into that love triangle and kind of be in there to stir up drama, but also try to portray Trey in a way that some people can kind of relate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's painted to be the bad guy, you want to give him a little light as well. And it was just a joy to be able to play him. And we got a few more coming in. So
boy.
Absolutely. And so that was my next. Did you know that it was going to be a multi-episode arc from the get-go? Because sometimes they'll bring you in and you're going to be the antagonist, and then they like you so much you're like, oh, we're just going to expand this a little bit. But you knew from the get-go it was going to be more than one.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a couple episodes. They actually ended up giving me an extra episode from that we originally had agreed upon. So, I mean, that's cool, and we'll see what happens. But
sure. I feel like that's credit to you, bro. I mean, you're
doubt.
rocking and rolling. I feel like, a lot of these young actors, they're either really terrified or really egotistical to where like they step on set and they feel like they're the shit. But I feel like you got this sense of class to you to where you sit back and you recognize your position and you recognize, I'm here to do a job and I'm going to do the best I can. And if I can do something else while I'm here, I'll do that too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm just like, I just appreciate the opportunity to be working. There's so many times where I'm not, and I'm just thinking I can't wait to, be on set next. And when I'm on set, it feels amazing. So just to have the opportunity to be there, and I try to just make sure I'm prepared, do my work, and just kind of soak it all in while I'm there, so that the times when I'm not working, at least I can go back to them and be like, that was sick.
For sure.
Yeah. And when you do that, then more times than not, you do what you did and you impress, right? And you get an extra episode. And then, like you said, we'll see what happens. I feel like there's always opportunity, right? For the comeback. You never know. But if you approach it like you did, and you come in, you do your job, you're prepared, you show up, and you're a professional, it always leads to good things, right? Nobody's going to rehire somebody that didn't know what to do, wasn't prepared, didn't know the lines, kind of a thing. When you come in and give it your best every single time, that pays off down the line. So even though you do go those stretches where you're not working, they remember you. They're like, oh, this guy. That we need that guy back because he was awesome. So I think it is a huge credit to you. And like Logan said, the way you portrayed the characters, clearly why they gave the extra episode. It's like this guy took time. He's in it. He's making this guy likable. We want to see more of him. So that's a huge credit to you and your ability to be able to do that. And I think that's good for all the up and comers that are listening. And that's the way to do it. Don't walk on a set, think you know everything, right? Just walk on, do what you're supposed to do, be prepared, give it your best, and then be happy when you're off there. And I think, it goes a long way. And I love that you shared that because I think that a lot of people need to know that's the way to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, with the way that I got Grays as well is, it's important to do the work because I actually auditioned originally for a series regular on Grays. And that was past summer. And I was pinned for it. And it was between me and I think just another actor, not the name who. But then it eventually went to the other character. And then months later, they just kind of gave me a call and said, hey, this role is perfect for you. If you want it, it's yours type of thing. So putting in that work, sometimes a lot of actors were sending these tapes and we think we're sending it to this black hole that
Exactly. Because go ahead.
No, yeah, sometimes you just got to plant the seeds and be patient and something will eventually grow out of it.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to bring up too. We had a different actor on who auditioned for Walking Dead like multiple different times, and they kept keeping his headshot in a folder just waiting for the right role to pop up. And it's just one of those things where something that they feel like is going to fit your assets more, that's really what they're waiting for. And another actor that came on said, maybe think about it like they're going into it trying to buy a car. Right now they're looking for a Tesla and you're kind of like a Maserati. So when they find that part for the Maserati, they're going to know exactly who to call. So like that type of thing. So it's always very interesting too. And something else we like to talk about with our guests is mental health. And with you being like such a young up and comer, and making some huge strides in the industry with the amount of time that you have been in it, how do you keep yourself mentally sane? Because there is times, like you've mentioned in the interview, where you're not working, where you have to keep yourself busy. How do you keep yourself motivated to keep moving forward in this industry?
Yeah, a big thing I always say is to have hobbies outside of the industry that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I mean, I like to hit the gym, work out, but I also like to play basketball. So I play a lot of pickup.
mm,
Something that I can do where it clears my mind no matter what's going on. I can go there and I'm not thinking about it at all.
for
It
sure.
all comes rushing back after, but that's fine. But during that time, I'm there and present. So that hanging out with friends and family, I love to go out, have fun, have a good time. So definitely have to do that. I mean, I know it's a grind, but I think at first I was kind of thinking like just work, work, work,
Yeah.
and I have to get there. But I'm like learn to balance it both out
Yeah.
because if you just kind of just grind the whole time, then you start to lose interest. Then
That's exactly right. And I love that because you do need something to work. Those people that are just sitting by the computer or sitting by the phone just waiting to know whether they got something or not, like that's all kinds of bad, right? Just go out and play basketball, do whatever it is you do. And I think that the mindset that a lot of people have to get into is that it's a job. If you were working at an office as an accountant, you don't wait and that's all you do, right? You still have a life. You go out, have a good time with your friends, you go hang out with family, you do whatever. This is the same thing. It's just a job and you still live your life. And I think that mindset people really need to get into and understand that it is just a job. This is what I do for a living, but I also have life and I live outside of that. And I think that's important for people to remember because I think you can get stuck in that consistently. I have to know kind of a thing. And that's just a nightmare waiting to happen.
yeah, no, it's definitely like using that comparison is great because we look at this job because we love it. It's our passion. We want to do it so bad that we have to give up everything to have it. And sometimes you got to step back and realize, okay, it's a job. In a normal job, would I be sacrificing my weekend for this?
That's right.
Probably not. I would go out and have a good time. And you know what? I'm not going to lose any time because everybody in the industry is also having their Saturdays to themselves.
Exactly.
So it's like things like that.
Yep.
For sure. There's a phrase that we've been coining and talking about recently in interviews, and it's called art monster. And that's basically when you let your passion in your career kind of just take over your personality and who you are to the point to where like that's all you can bring up in conversations and like all of these different things. So you got to be able to put that thing to bed and be able to have your different passions, have your different things that you do. And I mean, especially like I'm assuming since you're from New York, you're a Knicks fan. You got to go to the Knicks game, maybe.
I would love to go to the Knicks game, but playoffs.
They're a little expensive. But yeah, I mean, you just got to keep moving forward and doing other things because I mean, I'm sure you got like good spots that you can go to in New York. I mean, what do you think is your favorite restaurant that you like going to in New York that you go to most often?
Oof, my favorite restaurant. Put me on the spot here.
I know. I'm trying to get the deep cuts. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I'll give a little plug to my cousin. There's one in the LES, Lower East Side. It's called El Nuevo Amanecer. Spanish restaurant. We always go there. The margaritas are bomb.
There you go.
Yeah. And then out here in Astoria, there's this place called Amelos. It's like Mediterranean food. Really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That sounds really good. I mean, I've seen like pictures of Mediterranean food pop up on my feed all the time, but I have not gotten the opportunity to try it yet, though. So now that you said something about it, I'll have to figure out because we're in Charlotte right now, so we're just trying to figure everything out. But I mean, it's really good to hear, your ability to be able to separate because that's so very important. I had a really bad time with that at the very beginning because I am just recently engaged, and when her and I were first dating, it's when I was starting to figure out my passion, what I was doing. So we would have a lot of conversations about that, not necessarily good ones, but we get over those humps. But to where we need to spend time doing different things, and so I think that's very important for everybody listening to hear that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I have to ask because you seem like a really bright guy, and like I said, you light up every time you talk about it. Any aspirations to move behind the camera, maybe direct or kind of do some stuff behind the camera as well?
So it's funny, yeah. A lot of people have asked me that recently, but right now I'm like 100% focused on the acting, and I could definitely see myself, especially in a directing role in the future. But right now I'm kind of laser focused in on the acting, and I think I want to have more experience on set working with different types of directors, so I can pick up, different techniques or things that they do and what director I kind of favor and all that. And I think in the future, it's definitely something I'll look at further. But right now, I think I just want to get more experience on set and learn a little bit more.
That is a great answer, because I feel like a lot of times, people will say, "Oh, I'm in. I got this thing going now, so now I'm going to jump into this and I'm going to jump into that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." And they don't take the time to just appreciate and learn and grow, which will make them infinitely better down the line when they go to do that other stuff. So I love that answer. Yeah, again, it just plays into you're very intelligent. You can tell you're a very intelligent guy as well as very creative, and you just know the process. And I think sometimes it's so important to know the process, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it because, after I did the film in high school, kind of stopped acting for a while. Yeah, I didn't know how the film industry worked. So I shot that my sophomore year of high school, and it didn't come out till my sophomore year of college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things. And, in my head, I was like, I'm the lead in a film. I'm going to take off. That's going to be set.
Exactly.
So I started focusing on other things. And then, when college came, the movies didn't come out. It didn't seem like acting was going to work. So I took like a huge break from acting. I went to school for business, marketing and information systems. I got out and I was working in sales for a year. But I purposely got a job in New York because I was like, all right, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get back to it. So let's just get a job in New York. And then I ended up, saving up. But I got to learn so much about how everything works because I'd been out for so long. I picked up an internship at this place called Actors Connection, and then I started working for them. And they have classes with casting directors and agents that come in. So working there, I could take the classes for free. So then I used that and, build a lot of knowledge on the industry and also try to build up my network because I really didn't have a network of other actors and people in the industry. And I mean, that helped so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, immensely. Because, who would have thought, like, hey, let me, work here so I can get in here for free so I can try to figure out everything. I think that's what people fail to realize, especially when they're trying to break into it. It's like you can do these odd jobs that you don't necessarily have to build a career out of, but they will get you to the door to where what you want to do or to help you achieve that next thing on the resume. I think that's so important because, so many people, I was just listening to, we're big fans of Entourage. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. And I was just listening to the Victory podcast, and they finally got Adrian, aka Vinny, on the show, and he was talking about how when Doug was writing this thing and he was trying to figure out, who was going to play Vinny, basically Mark Wahlberg's character, he went to this agent, and Adrian worked as the agent's assistant. So that's how it all came together. Like, Adrian started off as the assistant to an agent, and that's how he got onto one of these huge hit shows. So, you got to just accept every opportunity that comes to you, especially if you feel like, it's going to be that stepping stone to the big pond, the big picture. So I think that's very important. I think that's what you did. So kudos to you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, everybody wants to say, it's like, it is a lot of luck, but, there are ways to strategize in this industry and put yourself in the right places so that those lucky opportunities come to you.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. I'm very curious, though. What did your parents do when you were growing up? Because I'm sure they're very intelligent and they pass that along to you.
Yeah, so my parents, my mom, she always worked in the hotel industry.
Okay.
And my dad actually owns his own barbershop.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So my dad even taught me in high school, taught me how to cut hair. So in college, I was doing that to make some money for the weekend.
I like how the dad's like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm gonna give you a backup plan because you can always cut hair and make some money if you need to, right? So that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, he gave me a lot of beer money for the weekend. So,
that's fantastic. I love that though, because having that support system, but then also having that like, hey, you also need to kind of maybe do this just to kind of like, I love that. That's the best way to approach it, man. Dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
We're both very, very hard workers and always instilled that into me and my brothers. So, I owe them a lot.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's good to give those roses to, those flowers, because it's very important to acknowledge those people who give you those opportunities. Like, for example, this is my father-in-law, and I didn't even know that I was going to be like so engulfed and in love with the entertainment industry and film and television if it wasn't for him. Because I always knew I liked to go into movies by myself when I was in high school and like doing all that, but I didn't even know I was able to take that leap into this career path if it wasn't for, you know, people who are around you. So I think that's very important.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you guys are doing this together. That's cool.
It's been so fun, man. We've been doing it for about 6 years, and we actually have our own film and television production company. We just shot our first film last year, released it, and we're just rocking and rolling, man. This is a way to build connections and to just continue getting our name out there. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Well, we appreciate you, man. It's always awesome to have up-and-comers breaking into it, coming on the show. You know, it's all about social media. And, dude, I tried to look you up on social media, and there are so many Will Martinez's out there. So please let us know the correct handle so we can be sure to follow you and at you and all the good shit.
Yeah, it's at Will Martinez 07.
07.
07.
Fantastic.
Noted.
Because there's a lot of you out there. I didn't know if you have a lot of fake accounts. I don't know. A lot of bots, but
Pretty common name.
yeah, for sure. Well, listen, man, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon, brother.
All right, thank you. Take care. I appreciate the time. This was awesome.
All right,
Oh,
man.
fantastic.
See ya. Oh, right. Just another good one. I didn't even realize, like, when reaching out to him, I didn't realize how fresh he was in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I mean, he is really young, guys. So if you are worried that, you know, you're not experienced enough, or you're maybe too young to be taken seriously, or you can't get into this because of all the... He's proof positive that you can.
Yeah.
He's also proof positive that if you need to step back and take a little break and then jump back into it, you can do that too. And I mean, sometimes that's necessary. So it's always great to see somebody so young have their head on their shoulders properly and doing it correctly and understanding how it all works. So it's so inspiring, even for us that have been doing it for a while, to be inspired by somebody doing it right and doing it so young.
Yeah, it's very nice, man. It's a refreshing feeling. It really is. Well, thank you again, Will, for coming on the show.